Yes, hello and welcome once again to the Young Entrepreneur Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Angel, coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday evening. If you're watching this pre recorded, well, thank you for tuning in and please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot. Just look up the name of the podcast that you see here below, and you will go ahead and find some great content. And today we're going to have a lot more content for you guys. So I appreciate everyone. Before we do begin the podcast, as you normally know, I already have all the platforms as far as iHeartRadio, Pandora. So as you see there on the screen, you're gonna be able to access the audio download shortly after I finish this content today. Okay, so you can also follow me on Twitter. This is my Twitter account under Angel Santos 75. Also on Instagram under Angel Santos Podcast. So thank you guys for joining this podcast once again. And let's go ahead and get right into it. Today, I have a special guest. His name is Peter Moore. Okay, now today's title is The Five Turnkeys of Business. Okay, now those five turnkeys, what he's going to cover today is promise, product, process, people, and profit. And I love that order. That's perfect. So promise, product, process, people, and profit. It's kind of almost like a tongue twister right there. But anyways, guys, so listen, this gentleman, he has so much experience. So that's why I'm so grateful that he actually reached out to me through Podmatch. Any podcasters out there looking for any guests, I um I recommend Podmatch. I'm getting a lot of great people with tremendous experience and adding so much content to my audience and to my channel. So I'm grateful for that. Pete has a lot of experience, like I said, way back in the 90s. This gentleman, as a entrepreneur, he has so many businesses that he turned over, he sold and whatnot. He's been over I think hundreds of podcasts. He also has his own podcast, which I'm gonna have more info on that. I'm gonna have the link also to his podcast on the video below with YouTube, so you'll be able to click on that link and show him some support too, man. Subscribe to his channel, give him some feedback, tune in to him. He has some great content as well. We're gonna get into that as well too, how much content he throws out there every week and whatnot. So Peter has certified coach. He does everything, man. This guy has an extensive resume, and I'm so grateful that he's here today. So, without further ado, man, let's go ahead and welcome him to the show, Mr. Peter Moore. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Angel. I'm looking forward to our conversation here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So am I, man. I'm here. I got my notepad here as usual. I got my pen and paper. Listen, man, I wasn't always a straight A student, but I learned how to pay attention.
That's
That's for
it.
sure.
Yeah,
And
big
that's what
ears,
I
small
have.
mouth, right?
Exactly. So, being here with so many entrepreneurs that have been a lot more experienced than what I have, for me, I'm a rookie at this. So I'm always willing to learn from others. So Pete, first
Yeah.
of all, thank you, man. And I know we talked about the weather in Ontario. So anyone here in Florida that knows what the difference between Florida and Canada, trust me, there's a big difference. You guys are getting a lot of snow out there. So
Yeah, I'm about an hour outside of Toronto, and
yeah.
I mean, the last 2 days we've been down with about 10 inches of snow. So it's I'm
Ooh.
getting my workout shoveling because
Right.
it's been
I was
warm
gonna
too,
say,
so it's a wet snow. It's heavy.
yeah, yeah. Don't show your biceps, man. I don't want people getting the wrong
Yeah, yeah. I
the
am
wrong
not the
idea here.
picture of men's health, but
Yeah,
you still got to stay active, right?
exactly. Well, Peter, man. Speaking of that, so how long before we get into all the business that you do and the
Mm,
extensive experience that you have,
yeah.
um, so Ontario, Canada, you are born and raised in Ontario. How?
Yes, sir. Yep. I was
Yeah.
born and raised in the Ottawa area, and I now live, like I said, about an hour outside of Toronto. But ran businesses in the Ottawa area for the first 20 or so years, and moved
Okay.
here about 12 years ago. So, I mean, I started young, Angel, and I really only worked for somebody else for about 6 months of my life, who was also
Wow.
his name was Pete too, my dad's best friend, and he had this great a landscaping business, sold all kinds of cool products and stuff. And I mean, love Peter and love his business. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I found out that, it just wasn't for me to work for somebody else. And I
Uh,
wanted to go and do my own thing. And so I did. I bought a franchise and, started that off and kind of ran that for 15 years and sold it. And at the same time, bought another business, a cleaning business that had 30 customers. It was kind of sad actually, and we
okay.
built it up to 300 businesses that we serviced and sold
Wow.
it. And
10x.
and then
Yeah.
I became a business broker, helping people buy and sell businesses. And that's one
Okay.
of the things I do with Simplifying Entrepreneurship now is I help people set their businesses up, like get the frameworks to set it up to be sold at a higher multiple.
Okay.
And then I bought a business which was Shootopia, and we still own Shootopia, and we own a couple of
Okay.
shoe stores now. So lots of
Oh,
cool stuff. And of course, I spend most of my time these days with Simplifying Entrepreneurship and helping other entrepreneurs, what I
yeah.
call reduce their frustrations and create more freedom, which is all around those
Ah,
5 Ps you mentioned.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now when you were growing up, at a young age, were
Yeah.
you always had that entrepreneur mindset? Like you always saying,
Yeah.
man, I got to get my own business. Like, what were maybe your dreams when you were younger? What was one thing you wanted to do?
I come from a great family of entrepreneurs, like relatives and aunts and uncles, and
Oh,
like farmers and people that were used to making their own way, and people that owned
yeah.
retail stores. And my dad ran a
Mhm.
big construction company, and my mom was a teacher, but she was doing crafts and selling them to craft stores and different things. And so I just can't grew up in that sort of environment. And ever since I was a young kid, I've always been doing that sort of stuff, pushing the lawnmower around and, doing all that stuff to make a few bucks here and there. And so
Yeah.
it's just been a part of life for
Okay.
me. So from that perspective, I kind of call myself virtually unemployable now. So all
Yeah.
these years later, I'm 51 years old now, and I've really
Wow.
never done anything else other than own my own business. So it's like
Okay.
I don't know that I could work for anybody else right now.
Yeah, because I figure if you have that, that experience already having your own business,
Yeah.
you know how to. In other words, you learn that it's not just about exchanging your time for money. You already found a way that there's another source of building income, making some kind of income. So that's awesome. And I appreciate that experience. I want you to share with us. Thank you for sharing your story, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's go ahead and get into it. So
Yeah.
what are these the 5 Ps? Is what you call the turnkey. Why did you call it like that turnkey
Yeah.
business? What
Yeah.
is that
So,
specific?
I mean, it's a blend. So I'm writing this book right now, and I'm not sure the
Oh,
title, but it's going to be. I think it's going to be, turning your frustrations into freedoms, and that's this idea. But it's the same thing around creating a turnkey
okay.
business, right? So
Right.
the idea behind a turnkey business is that it's a business that really runs itself.
Okay.
Because think of it, if somebody put it back into the perspective of buying a business, if you're buying a turnkey business, you want to, the day that you take over, you want to be able to go in, turn the key, and everything just to happen as it was another day, right?
Okay.
And that's the idea. So if you buy a turnkey business, you're buying one that has all of everything in place to continue running with or without you. And from that perspective, that's the kind of business we want to create for ourselves,
Of course.
whether or not we're going to sell it or keep it as a passive investment, right? So in my case with our shoe stores, we've had our shoe stores now coming up on 12 years. I don't work a lot in my shoe stores. I work maybe somewhere around 6 or 8 hours a week in my shoe stores, like as far as my
Yeah.
management time and stuff that I'm involved with. Well, it's essentially a turnkey business because I've set up all those P's that we're going to chat about, and I don't have to be involved. I mentioned to you before we hopped on air. We're recording this early in February. Well, I'm going to take the month of March off and go to Florida for the month. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the freedoms that I wanted this year, but I couldn't do that if I didn't have my business set up in the way that it's set up. And this kind of stuff that we'll chat here about today is really the alignment of all of the things you need to do. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a week or 2 weeks. It happens over time, but that's okay. You have to
Yeah.
start somewhere. You have to get it
Somewhere.
going. You have to understand how to look at this stuff so that you're always making decisions that are going to equate to what you want from your business. Because so many entrepreneurs get into business and The idea that I have about business is your business, you own your business. It shouldn't
Yep.
own you.
That's right.
You own your business. It shouldn't own you. And if you're
Mhm.
feeling like it owns you, then you don't have a turnkey business, right?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So you're gonna have a book coming out soon. I hope that, yeah, that'd be interesting to get that book.
Yeah, I'll
That'd
send
be
you a
very
copy, Angel.
absolutely. So let's go ahead and get to it. So where
Yeah.
you want to start first? You
Yeah.
want to start that same order
Yeah,
or
man. It always starts with the promise. It always starts with the promise. So everything you do has to wrap around the promise to your clients, because if you don't have that, if you don't have absolute clarity on what that promise is, you can't make all of those decisions in order to make, create this turnkey business. And how do you develop a promise? Well, basically, you have to fully understand what your client's problem is. I mean, I'm going to use a lot of simple language because it's really not that hard to start thinking about this stuff. The real thing is that you need to think about this stuff and you need to spend the time on this stuff, because if you don't, there's going to be uncertainty. And when you have uncertainty, everything falls apart. So,
yeah.
what is the problem that you're solving? What's your unique solution that's different from somebody else solving the same problem? So, how do you differentiate how you solve that problem so that, and this is the big one, so that you're taking that problem and turning it into a freedom, right? So you're transforming that person, because they used your goods or services,
Mhm.
into a better person, because everybody buys a better future every time. Anytime somebody puts money down on the table to buy your goods or your services or your product, they're thinking in their head, they're thinking, okay, well, if I buy this, is my life going to get better?
Mm.
Every time, right?
Yeah,
Or else they're not going to spend their money. And if they don't spend their money, you don't have a business.
that's
So,
right.
this is the thing. If you don't create the offer around that promise in a unique way, you're not going to get people buying. So, you really have to think about it in those simple three ways, which is, what is the problem? What's your unique solution? And what does their life look after they've used it?
Of course, it has to be some type of results after
Has to
that.
be. So
Yeah.
it's that's the formula. PSR, problem solution result, right?
Okay.
And that's going to build your promise. And as soon as you have your promise, now you can make all your decisions. I mean, you can make your decisions around marketing. How are you going to market this? Well, I'm going to market it today. I'm going to talk about people's problems on my social posts. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the results I can get them. And the next day, I'm going to talk about my framework and why it's unique. So it
Mm.
gives you all the pieces of the tools that you need to communicate, not only to your clients, but to everybody else around your business, your team, your wholesalers, your suppliers.
Absolutely.
They all need to know the promise. Everybody needs to know the promise. And the biggest thing that you can do as the entrepreneur, as the leader of your organization, is to never stop spitting out that promise, never stop communicating it.
That's right.
Every decision should always be made stemming back to that promise.
Okay. Perfect. That is awesome. Thank you. Okay, what goes next?
Next is the product.
The
And
product.
when we look at product, if you're new in business, then you want to make sure that your product or service, depending on what you're selling, is
Mhm.
in complete alignment with the promise. Okay, it has to be in alignment with the promise. It
I
can't
love
be off the side. It can't be a sidebar and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this." It has to align, and that's going to give you very good clarity around what products and services you want to offer to your clients. Because if they don't align with that, they can't be part of your mix. You're
yeah.
confusing people, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very
It's a
true.
confusion. So if you've been around for a long time, well, there's work to be done, because most often a lot of the legacy products that you've been offering for a long time are no longer offering your promise, because your promise has changed. I mean, COVID changed a lot of
Oh,
businesses,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
and if you're still selling legacy products that aren't in alignment with the new way you do business, then they need to be parsed off. You need to let them go. So I kind of use this 10-70-20 rule. You're going to get rid of 10%. You're going to straighten up that 70%, your core offering. You're going to make it even better. And you're always going to be looking for the new 20% coming in from that. It's like,
Mhm.
what's new? What's going to happen? What's going to change my offering to make it even better for my clients? Because we said it before, clients want to have a better life. So
Of
they
course.
want your product or service delivered in a way that's either cheaper, faster, less painful to
Headache.
obtain? Like,
Yeah,
how are you freeing them up to buy your products, and so that they can get the transformation even easier, even cheaper, even quicker than they have in the past by either you or your competition out there, you know?
exactly. Okay, great. Align. That has to have alignment. The product has to be aligned. Okay, I have to get
Everything
it.
has to be aligned. And the same with
Okay,
the process, right? The process is the next one.
process.
And all of your processes have to be aligned. And it's simple to make those alignments as soon as you think about the promise. It's like, okay, when we think of all the processes in our business, there are a ton, from your hiring to your firing to your marketing to your sales to your customer service, all of your operations, to receiving a product, to shipping a product, to all of these different things. And if they're in your head as the owner and not down in a systematic form, you'll never be able to release those to somebody else.
Okay. Ooh, that's true.
You'll never be able to, what Gino Wickman, one of my favorite authors who wrote the book called Traction, he wrote elevate and delegate. And I like those two words. You're
Okay.
never going to elevate and delegate to anyone in your organization if you don't have a systemized structure around your processes. And when we start to delegate, that's when we start to have some entrepreneurial freedom. When the
Mhm.
decisions are being made at the lowest possible level of the organization so that the owner or the managers aren't involved in all the little minor decisions. You can only
Exactly.
make so many decisions in a day, Angel.
Mhm.
Man, you can
Yeah.
only make so many decisions in a day. And
Mhm.
from your perspective as the owner or manager of a business or leader of a business, you want to be spending those decision making minutes, hours on the biggest decisions, not on the littlest ones.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
where the process, you just got to nail that process. It's got to be down. It's got to be to the point where you can literally let somebody else handle it in your organization. That's when the freedom
Exactly.
comes.
Yeah. 'Cause if not, you're just gonna be that what is jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, man. Nobody wants
Yeah.
that.
No.
But a lot of entrepreneurs are, and that's why they feel trapped in their businesses. That's why they're still working 70,
Yeah.
80, 90 hours a week, because they refuse to let go of some of the accountabilities, because they feel they're the only ones that can make the decision. Well, that's because they don't have processes in place.
That's right. That's right. Very important. Thank you so much. Okay. So the next one is people.
Yeah. Often the biggest one.
Mm.
Yeah. It's the one that keeps a lot of entrepreneurs up at night.
The people. It's crazy because I like that one. I was telling a friend of mine today. In a conversation I was having today with also she's entrepreneur as well. I said I had a goal, and this is my goal, Pete. And I didn't tell nobody this goal except for her today, and it is going to be a crazy goal, but I want before the year's ended, right, 2021. I said for 2022, and I have it on my agenda here. I want to meet 365 people. So what does that mean? There's 365 days, right, for the year. So that means I have to meet one person per day. Now, the challenging part is if I don't meet one person one day, the next day I have to meet two people. If the next 2 days I haven't met no one, that means the third day I have to meet three people that same day, right? Now, obviously, I'm not gonna go stressed out about it because I know it's a very I put a goal so big, but the reason why I put that goal so big is that even if I meet half of that goal, I'm gonna meet at least 150 people.
It's awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at that sort of stuff, when you're having that, you're looking at all the people and you're running down your checklist of everybody you met. I mean, we met each other this year.
Yeah,
So there's one, right? So
yeah.
but you look back and you're saying, "Oh my God, it's not about I didn't get the 365. It's about I know 150 more people than I did last year."
Yes.
Come on, like,
Yes.
if you
That's
don't
it.
have the plans and the systems, and if you don't have those kind of things with a goal out there, then you're gonna have 2 more people that next year instead of 150 or 200 or
It's
or
yeah.
365.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are probably saying, well, why do you need people? I said, well, look at it like just like you said earlier. We're living in a different era now. Look at how we communicate now. See? Even though we now may not do business in the future, we don't know yet.
Yep.
But we're giving us the opportunity to know who Pete is and who Angel is, and how we can maybe do business maybe in the future. We don't know, or who we could lead to you that could help you, or you could help me with someone. I think that's what the connection is all about. Because in an era back in the earlier, before even technology and everything that we have now, these platforms weren't around. They didn't exist, right? So now that they exist, that's where I jumped on and said, okay, well, I'm going to use this podcast to not only talk about what I do, but I want to meet entrepreneurs and see what challenges they had, what they faced, what you know, failures they had and whatnot. But not just the failures, it's how they arose, how they overcame those tough ones.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more. When I look at the people side of things, Angel, I break them down into three different areas. One is, who's your ideal client. One is, who are your terrific team members, and then you also have, who are all of those outsourced partners, everybody else who's helping you deliver that promise that we talked about off the bat, right? So you need to have all the alignment about your ideal customer. Like, anybody here who's been in business for a while, they can probably name off the top of their head the worst client they've ever had.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want any more of those.
Yeah.
And then you can also name the best client you've ever had. And you're like, wow, if I could have all of my clients be like her, or all my clients be like him, then life would be so good.
That's right.
So when you think about that, and you can do the same with your team members, by the way, and you can do the same with all of your suppliers. So
Okay.
you list those things out, list all of the bad qualities, list all of the good qualities of those three segments. And then you're really going to start aligning to your promise the type of people that you want in your sphere of influence. And you're going to attract those ones that you want, and you're going to repel those ones that you don't.
You
And it's
don't.
perfectly good to repel them, because they're just going to suck the blood out of you. They're going to suck
Yeah.
your time. They're going to give you frustration. And you don't want that. You want to work
Mm,
with people that give you freedom, that lift you up, that
yep.
give you energy, that can afford to pay for your services, like all
Exactly.
of that stuff, right? And
Absolutely.
so when you start thinking about that, lay this stuff out and start thinking about the people. And you can use it again back to your marketing. You can use it in saying, these are the kind of people that we're looking for. And by the way, if you're this kind of person, you're probably not a right fit for us. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You can't be everything to anyone. And in fact, most
No,
most businesses that are really good at what they do aren't.
they aren't. Yeah. Like they say, you can't be $100 bill to everybody. You know,
Oh
so
man.
we're like, what? Wow. Okay. So the profit. Talk to me about the profit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When you have alignment, when you know your promise and you have clarity around your product, your process, and your people, the
Hmm.
profit comes. It
That's
just
right.
does, because
Okay.
everything's in alignment. The messaging is clear, the communication is clear, the people all know what to expect. I'll just go flip it back to our shoe stores. So we have some shoe stores, and
Okay.
our promise on the wall is, we
Mm,
want everyone to, and I'll put it down to 4 words: look great and feel fantastic. Those are
okay.
the 4 words that we're promising to our clients when they buy at Shootopia. So when they leave, like when they're trying stuff on, I've nailed it down to 3 to 9 letters as well. And those letters are, when they try something on and they look in the mirror, they're like, ooh. So OOH is like,
Uh-huh.
ooh, I look good, right? So I
Uh-huh.
look good. And the next 3 are, ah, and that's the feel good.
Feel good.
So
Uh-huh.
feel fantastic, right? Look good, feel fantastic. You should be able to give yourself the, ooh, I look good. The, these feel awesome. And the last 3 are, aha, I've finally found a pair of shoes that looks good and makes me feel fantastic. And if that's the
Mm,
case, they're going to buy their shoes, they're going to walk out the door, and they're going to look back up at the Shootopia logo, and they're going to say, you know what? That's my favorite shoe store. And that's what we're trying to
mm,
do, right?
okay.
We're trying to
Yeah.
deliver the promise and think about how this happens. And when you can create this kind of thing for your business, then you actually have the ability to make decisions that all wrap around that customer and having them say the words that you want them to say as they walk out the door of your business.
Absolutely. Wow, that's awesome. Shootopia. So Shootopia is actually is a physical store in Ontario?
Yes, yeah, I've got a couple of stores, and it's
Okay.
shootopia.ca, not .com. The .com one's
Oh,
down in the States. That's a different beast. It's not mine,
okay.
but
Okay.
I'm here in Canada, and it's
Okay.
shootopia.ca. Yeah,
That's CA. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly for Canada. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, profit, I figured that was going to be something just smooth. I said, that's just going to come in because once you have the ball rolling, there's no going to stop it. It's just that profit going to come in automatically.
So when we buy our products, I'll just go back to Shootopia again. We buy our products.
Hmm.
Everything that I'm buying either has to, it needs to align, whether it's for guys or for ladies. They need to look great and feel fantastic with all the products that we buy,
Of
right?
course.
All of our
Of
processes, all of our sales process, all of our import, like when we send stuff out on the web to somebody, we want them to look great and feel fantastic. We send personalized thank you notes to each one of our web store customers. We haven't even met them. We're sending
Wow.
them handwritten thank you notes. We want them to feel good. We want them to feel part of the family, right?
Yeah,
It's all part of the whole system, right? It's all part of our process, so that we attract the right clients, so that if that's the right client, we want them to buy from us again, because they can shop anywhere online. If they live, 1,000 miles away, they can shop somewhere near them. I mean, our local clients, we have different things for, but
okay.
the online ones. And then, ultimately you're creating this profit train, right? And when you
Yeah.
have the profit train, that's when you turn your frustrations into freedoms as the
Mm,
entrepreneur. And that's when you can start deciding, now, what do I want to do with this profit? Do I want to buy a triplex? Do I want to go away on a vacation? Do I want to start a different business? your
uh-huh.
your creativity can be unleashed again, because you're not mired down in the frustration of running the day-to-day operations of your business.
Exactly. So that was your passion, right? Because helping other businesses and leaders, going through that frustration and then be able to have that freedom. And that's how you have established a lot of businesses throughout your career, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
once you get this stuff in place, it allows you the opportunity to do whatever else you want. So in this
Absolutely.
case, I wasn't running my business, my Shootopia businesses. I started another one called Sandy Mist. I have another one called Liquidation Roadshow, and I have
Wow.
Simplifying Entrepreneurship, which is this one where I help other entrepreneurs and coach other entrepreneurs through their problems. Right?
Exactly. And you
Yeah,
also have a podcast too.
I do.
Come
Yeah.
on, man.
Same name, Simplifying Entrepreneurship. And, we have short
Yeah,
conversations around all of the stuff we're talking about today with great guests. And they're, 15, 20-minute episodes, because entrepreneurs are busy people. And a lot of times they don't have a
I
whole lot
know.
of time. So I try
I
to keep them
know.
short.
Exactly. That's great, man. So, Pete, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to have all your links down below. So, if anyone wants to follow your podcast, I encourage them to. And you hit it, man. You made my evening today. Let me tell you, man, with these 5 minutes, I was so curious about how these were going to process through and what they meant. So, you brought it down to the bullseye. You hit it on point. I'm gonna be listening to this podcast myself and studying some of the stuff that you have, and I'm looking forward to that book, man. Looking definitely when more or less you may get it published and all that. Next,
Well, I'm kind of finishing off draft copies now.
okay.
Realistically, I'm gunning for the 1st of September.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be in touch. I'll be definitely be looking out for that on your website or whatnot.
Awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'll make sure you get a copy.
Okay, man, Pete. I appreciate it, guys. So, man, Pete, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a great, fantastic weekend, man. Enjoy your evening.
Thanks, Angel. It's been a pleasure. Make it a great day.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Thank you so much, Pete. Well, there you have it, folks. Once again, Pete Moore is his name. Look up his podcast, Simplifying Entrepreneurship. Very simple guy. Look him up on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He has Instagram, LinkedIn, and whatnot. Go to Podmatch if you want to go to Podmatch and look him up as well. He is there. He has all his info, and he is available. So once again, he has brought all that knowledge that he has. So look him up, man. Support his podcast as well, and check him out. He has some great material. I hope you guys enjoyed this information, and I will be seeing you on the next podcast. I believe it's next Monday, February 7th. I'll be sharing you guys shortly with that information. So, guys, thank you again for joining this podcast. Before I do leave, I do want to leave you with a positive scripture, as I always do, in Proverbs 3:13 through 14. It says like this: Blessed are those who find wisdom, okay, wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she, wisdom, is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. All right. So there you have it, guys. Listen, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Tomorrow's Friday. The weekend's coming up. Be safe. And tune in to my next podcast, which will be shortly. All right, guys. So thank you. God bless you. Be great. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you.